For you, for me, for who?
For you.
From who?
It's official.
Official? From who?
It's clerk of the court, Haverhill, official business. Penalty to avoid postage, $25. Yeah.
What did I do? Should have something official?
Open it, Molly.
Well, maybe it's something.
Of course it's something. Open it.
What's the conference?
Nothing.
It's something.
What something? What happened? Bad news?
I don't know yet. Here.
Clerk of the court. Well, so open it.
You open it, Jake. Don't spare me, Jake.
I won't. It's a notice to appear before the clerk of the court to be examined for jury duty.
That's the official, and I thought...
Jury duty is an honor, Molly.
I know, but I have to be examined.
Well, that's nothing to worry about.
It's nothing.
Oh, but an examination, can you imagine?
Where are you going, Molly?
Stairs to look for a book.
Why do you need a book?
But if I'm going to have an examination, I have to study.
For this kind of an examination, you don't have to study, Molly.
No.
Nevertheless, I'm going to look in my civics book. I want to pass with my colors flying.
Goldberg?
Molly Goldberg. G.
Middle initial?
I don't have one, I'm sorry.
Age?
Necessary?
For the record, lady, yes.
Well, you see, in my voting ballot, I'm 21 plus. Is that all right?
Yeah, that'll do. All right. Now, do you swear the statements given here before me this day are, to the best of your knowledge, true? There's a fine of $500 and a year in jail or both.
I swear.
All right, just sign your full name.
Thank you.
All right, Mrs. Goldberg, that's all.
Thank you. Just one question, please.
Yes.
Did I pass? Thank you.
Sunny side up for me, Rosie.
All right. Do you want eggs, Pa?
Scramble me, please.
Well, today's Mama's big day.
Oh. Molly, a member of a jury can't be late.
Coming.
Coffee, Pa?
Thanks, Sally.
Morning.
Morning, Ma.
Morning.
Oh, you look wonderful, Ma.
Oh, take me. I'm going to be a member of the jury. Morning, Rosalie, dear. Good morning, Ma. Good morning.
If it's not irrelevant, and if it's not immaterial, and if you have the time, sit down and have some breakfast.
So what's the hilariousness, what?
It's just fooling, Ma.
Some things in life are not for fooling. If I was selected and I was picked to be on a jury, I consider it a very important duty.
One little piece of advice can I advise you, Molly?
Why not?
There's a judge and a lawyer for the defense and a lawyer for the state. They do all the talking, and you do the listening.
Don't I know that? Didn't I see the trial of the Kane Mutiny in the movies?
That's all I wanted to say. Just pay attention to the evidence.
Of course, Exhibition A and Exhibition B. Well, it shouldn't only be a murder case. I'm so allergic to assassination. How long will it take, Ma?
Will you be home for supper?
That all depends.
On what?
If you're not locked in.
Locked in?
The jury can be locked up overnight.
You mean it? Ma, it sounds so exciting. I wish I could go with you. After you'll be 21, you'll be eligible. Well, I'm flying. Goodbye, Rosalie. Ma, you didn't have any breakfast. I swallowed a cup.
Bye, Ma.
Bye.
Molly, use your head and leave your heart home.
But remember, Ma, the quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth like the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath.
Don't you recognize the quotation, Molly? It was written by an old friend of yours.
Who's an old friend of mine?
William Shakespeare.
Say, please. You! Daisy! Daisy!
Yes?
Well, I'm all ready to go to perform my duty.
Well, maybe you can still get out of it.
What do you mean?
Well, I had an uncle once who served on the jury, and he was so impressed with the law that he gave up his own business to become a lawyer. The only case he ever tried was his own. His wife sued him for non-support.
Well, I was called to do my duty, and I stand ready and able. Ma, you're going to be late. All right. Daisy, dear, I'm going to leave the key under my front door mat if anybody should deliver me.
Oh, certainly. Don't worry about it. Have you got your smelling salts?
Smelling salts for what?
In case you need them. The details might get gruesome.
Thank you.
Rosalie, get me my smelling salts, because it's possible it'll be gruesome.
Mr. Newcomb has testified that he noticed this man, the defendant, standing a foot or two away from him. Suddenly he became aware that his wallet was leaving him. He grabbed the defendant and accused him of taking his wallet. The defendant has denied it. But the prosecution will demonstrate beyond all shadow of a doubt that this denial is false. Madam Foreman, gentlemen, that man is guilty. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counsel for the defense, are you ready for summation?
Ready, Your Honor. Your Honor, please. Madam Foreman.
How do you do?
Gentlemen of the jury, you have listened carefully to the evidence. I know you are all intelligent enough to interpret that evidence and readily form in your own mind a reasonable doubt in this case. As the prosecutor told you when he chose you, and when I chose you, there is no direct proof that this man, Frank Clark, the defendant, put his hand into that complainant's pocket. Nothing to that effect whatsoever. This case is based on what the prosecutor calls circumstantial evidence. I say it is based on innuendo, inference, suspicion, each thing based on something else. The only man who could have testified to any possession in any way possible is Officer Leonard, who has truthfully taken the stand and testified that he was walking with the defendant, said excuse me, and expectorated. He also testified that he had the defendant under constant observation and that at no time did he see the wallet in the possession of the defendant.
At no time, mind you.
And at no time did he see the defendant throw that wallet into the ash can.
What ash can?
The wallet was found in the ash can, remember?
Now, what I'm trying to get at is this. There are some little things missing here. In other words, there is suspicion. Suspicion. But there is nothing else in this case. No single shred of evidence to connect my client, Clark, with the disappearance or the reappearance of that wallet.
Well, have you finished?
I think I have, Your Honor. Madam Foreman.
Now, members of the jury, in every criminal case under our jurisdiction, the defendant is presumed to be innocent unless and until the people can establish his guilt according to the standards fixed by the law. Now, what it really means is this. It establishes by statute an evidentiary rule of proof. It means there is no burden on any defendant to prove his innocence. In a criminal case, the burden always rests on the people to prove the guilt of a defendant and to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And let me say that in this court, all verdicts are unanimous. That is, all final verdicts. There's no such thing as a 10-2, 9-3, or 11-1 verdict. So if you find that this defendant did take that wallet out of the pocket of the complaining witness, you ought to convict him of the crime of grand larceny in the second degree. If you have a reasonable doubt that he did, you ought to acquit him. Now, you may retire.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 for guilty and 1 for not guilty, which means that we are still not unanimous.
We're all unanimous, but you.
Sure, that's right. Why don't you give in? Come on, give us a break. Let's get out of here.
No, I will stick to the last ditch, because my doubt is reasonable.
The man's a pickpocket. All the evidence proves it.
Circumstantial. All circumstantial. From A to B, circumstantial. Nobody saw the wallet leave the pocket.
What's the difference? A seasoned pickpocket's clever.
I don't know. I looked at the gentleman's hands. They didn't look like a pickpocket's hands to me.
Who knows what a pickpocket's hands look like? I don't.
Oh, you don't? Well, my fellow juror, if you don't, then why do you want to convict?
Well,
You can't convict on ignorance. You heard the counsel for the defense of the counsel say that this whole case was nothing but suspicion, suspicion, and suspicion.
Yeah.
Well, what does that mean? That means that there is a question mark as to the innocence or the guilt of Mr. Clark. And as long as there is a question mark in my mind, my doubt will remain reasonable.
Who said anything about a question mark?
So what does a reasonable doubt mean, my dear fine gentlemen? It means a question mark. And, gentlemen, this question mark should be more than just a punctuation mark. Don't you understand that you are deciding the innocence or vice versa of a man, of a gentleman, of a human being?
listen, Madam Foreman, you've been gabbing for 4 hours. Now, will you let somebody else get a word in edgewise?
Gabbing? Gabbing? No, my dear gentlemen, not gabbing. Gabbing is not in my vocabulary. You heard the dear district attorney say that this case was circumstantial and that the people did not make a prima facie case. Well, if that is the case, then why didn't anybody see the wallet leave the pickpocket? And why didn't they see him take it out of the pocket? And why didn't they see the wallet go in the ash can with the $85? Well, I say that this is purely circumstantial.
Now, you look here, Madam Foreman. There's nobody says that you can't convict on circumstantial evidence. Even I heard the judge say you can convict that way if there's no reasonable doubt.
So my reasonable doubt is that the man is innocent.
There's never a conviction on 100% proof.
Gentlemen, citizens, fellow jurors, lend me your ear. We didn't come here to bury the defendant with circumstantial evidence. We came here to hand out justice. And like my son Samuel said, the quality of mercy is not strange. It falleth like rain from the heavens, underneath and beneath us all very gently. It is mightier than the mighty. It's like a king on a throne.
Listen, lady, I got
How say you? Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not
Not what?
guilty.
You say, through your forelady, you find the defendant not guilty, and so say you all.
The defendant is discharged. Court is dismissed.
Okay. There's one more free man walking around the world today. Rosalie, darling, here. Wind my watch. Yes, it stopped. Yes, please.
And there was never a suspicion in your mind that he was guilty?
Not at all. And you know, Jake, I was watching his eyes all through the trial. You know what kind of eyes he had?
What?
Like your eyes.
My eyes.
Blue.
But what I don't understand is, how did the man's wallet get into the ash can?
I don't know neither.
But wasn't it part of your duty to have a theory?
Well, the judge didn't say so. He said that I shouldn't be influenced and I should only use my own judgment. Here, Ma. Thank you. If I had enough years left, you know what I would do?
What?
You laugh if I say it.
You would study law?
I would. You see, you're laughing. I wouldn't talk.
Oh, no, Marley.
You think it wasn't a big responsibility? What all the graduated lawyers couldn't do, I did without a diploma. 11 of my fellow jurors all said guilty, and I alone stood for innocence and brought down the acquittal.
You mean they were all for conviction?
All. My logic sprinkled with a little mercy and a little doubt in my heart.
And in your head?
So I combined myself, heart and head. What's one without the other? Nothing. Rosalie, darling, for me it's too late. But you still can be a lady Frankfurter.
No, thanks, Ma. I have no interest in law.
Why not?
Because I just haven't.
I thought you want Rosie to be just a happy housewife.
Oh, that's the garbage truck, Rosalie, darling. Here, take out the garbage can. Yes, take this with you. Yes, darling? Here. That's good. Thank you. And the front door bell. Front door. I'll go, says Emily. Oh, yeah, I hope it's not the girls. My mental facilities are so tired. 1 minute.
Hello.
Mr. Clark.
I just had to come up and say thank you again.
Oh, my, come in. Well, I saw my duty and I did it. Jake, I want you to meet my husband. Jake, meet the convict.
Almost. Frank Clark is the name.
Oh, how do you do?
Here, hang, Mr. Clark. Sammy, I want you to meet my son, Sammy. This is Mr. Clark.
How do you do, Mr.
Sammy.
Clark?
Won't you come and sit down, please? Rosalie, come here, sir.
It must have been quite a disturbing experience.
It wasn't pleasant.
Yes, ma'am. Rosalie, I want you to meet Mr. Clark. This is my daughter, Rosalie.
Rosalie, how are you? You got a nice family.
Thank you very much. Did you have your supper?
Oh, sure.
A little dessert? Homemade?
Well, mind if I wash my hands?
Not at all. Sally, escort Mr. Clark upstairs.
Right this way, Mr. Clark.
Take a clean towel.
All right, Ma.
How did he know our address?
Because I gave it to him.
Oh. His eyes are like my eyes. I failed to see the resemblance.
Very charming, no?
Charming.
You, Daisy!
Yes?
I'd like you to come over and meet somebody.
Who?
A celebrity.
Oh, I'll be right over.
Come in, Mr. Clark.
Just call me Frank.
Frank, come and sit down.
Thank
Right here, please. Excuse the table. Rosalie?
Yes, Ma?
Come here, darling. You'll slice off a piece of my Vienna cake and spill Mr. Clark in a cup, yes?
Okay.
You wouldn't have the address of the juror that sat on your left, would you?
Oh, I have all the addresses of all the jurors.
Good.
The one on the left, the fourth on the left.
On the left. Yeah.
I'll tell you in just a jitney. A minute. I have all the names. Let me see now. Would it be Mr. Horner?
No, I have Mr. Horner.
Uh-huh. Would it be Mr. Jason?
I have him.
Field Jewelry?
Fields Jewelry, that's it.
Yeah, well, that's located on Elm and Central Avenue.
Keeping the names of all the jurors?
I sure am. I owe those 12 good people 5 years of my life. I got to put them on my Christmas list. You know what it's like? 5 years in the pen? It ain't living in the Waldorf. Hello.
Hello, Sammy.
Come in here, Mrs. Carey.
Oh.
Hello. This is Mrs. Carey. I want you to meet Mr. Clark, the convict.
Oh, how do you do? Oh, you look much better in person. The picture in the paper didn't do you justice at all.
They never do you justice. They'd even make him look like public enemy number 1. Thank you.
Here you are, Mr. Clark.
Oh, boy.
Sit down and enjoy it. Will you have a piece of cake?
Oh, no, I shouldn't. I can only stay a minute.
My Vienna Waltz cake.
Well, just a little piece. What time is it?
Time is...
It's 20 minutes after 8.
Oh, thank you.
Come, I'll slice you.
What's your game?
I make wedding gowns.
Oh, that's a good racket. You must have a lot of people working for you.
Yes, I have. About 30.
Pretty big payroll, huh?
Oh, yes.
Where you located?
Main and River Streets.
I may come up and see you sometime.
I'm sure I had my wristwatch on.
Well, where is it?
I don't know.
You sure you put it on?
Rosalie was winding it up for me.
Did you put it on?
I don't know.
Oh, you must have laid it down sometime.
Molly, Mr. Clark is enjoying your cake. He'd like another piece.
Jake, when Rosalie was winding my clock, did you see if she gave it to me?
I think she did. Why?
I haven't got it.
Well, what did you do with it?
I don't know.
Molly, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
What are you thinking?
A friend, Mr. Clark.
Maybe I dropped it. I'll go look again.
Remember we were out at the park the other night in the car?
Here you are, Mr. Clark. Thank you. Some cake, Mrs. Goldberg.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it.
Well, maybe I better be leaving. I don't want to impose on you.
Not at all. Sit down. Eat your cake. Another cup of coffee, Rosie.
Mr. Clark, tell my father the story you just told Rosie and me.
Oh, you know Chicago? Do you ever wake in a slaughterhouse?
Why don't you tell Mrs. Carey about it? Sit down, Mrs. Carey.
Sit down.
Sit down.
I'll tell you. You know Chicago?
No, I don't.
You never visit a slaughterhouse?
What's the matter?
Shh. My watch.
What do you mean?
I haven't got it.
Well, you had it. Rosie gave it to you.
No, but now I haven't got it.
Sammy, go next door and call the police.
You think call the police?
Oh, Jake, maybe we'll wait with the police.
Not at all. Once he leaves this house, a guilty man will be at large.
But, Jake...
No buts.
Go on, Sammy.
His blue eyes, she liked. Do you realize what a crime you committed against society, my dear?
Jake, you think that...
What do you mean do I think? One look at the man and I formed a conclusion. Did you ever see a more criminal bone structure? Well, look at the forehead. Look how close together his eyes are. And you said he has my eyes.
Jake, let me take him in the kitchen and I'll ask him.
And if he has a gun?
Boy.
There should be a law against women jurors. 11 against 1, huh? You did what his own lawyer couldn't do. Mercy you sprinkled on the blue-eyed bandit from Chicago.
Jake, I still say it's circumstantial.
If I hear the word circumstantial once again...
All right, it's not circumstantial, but I still have a reasonable doubt.
Maybe you have a reasonable doubt. Not me.
Jake, let me go in and I'll ask. Yes, Jake, please.
All right, ask him.
But you wait here. I'll ask him.
Mrs. Carey, won't you be late for your appointment? Rosalie, show Mrs. Carey the door.
Yes, Rosalie, come along with me, dear.
Will you have another cup of coffee? Another piece of cake?
I ain't had this kind of attention since I was in the hospital.
You were in a hospital? You see, a person is only a fly.
You said it.
Boy, life is short.
You gotta take what you can get.
The papers are full of people that took. To have what isn't yours is that having.
Talk the way my mother used to talk. I should have had the good sense to listen to the old lady and to come up with a different biography. Trouble in life is you learn too late.
What does a child learn when he's knee-high like a grasshopper? Thou shalt not, what, Mr. Clark? Frank?
Take it.
What is it?
It's a watch.
I'll get your hat and coat. Jake, don't go to the door yet. Don't let the police in. Jake, I have my watch.
Stop protecting him, Molly. Don't start with the law.
Here's your coat and hat. And goodbye and good luck.
Well,
Go the kitchen way.
Yes?
Mr. Goldberg, does this watch belong to your wife?
Molly's watch.
I thought it was. It says, to Molly with love, Jake.
Molly.
Yes?
Molly, your watch. Here.
What?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
It's a good thing we don't have an incinerator. He found it in the garbage.
But then what's this?
Huh?
Oh, Jake. Another watch. If it wasn't for you, I'd be doing time. So here's a token to remind you of me. Keep picking. Love, Frank Clark.
My apologies, Molly.
Apologies accepted. Court dismissed.